Welcome to the Hook Road Studio. My name is Jason Horsler and I'm going to do a little lesson for you today on drag-based rudiments. This lesson is in response to an emerging need amongst some of my drum pupils and in my drumba club, but I think you might find it useful yourself. What is a drag? A drag is similar to a flam. It is a principal note with a grace note in front of it, or two grace notes in the form of a drag. So, what is a grace note? A grace note is a note that has no metric value. You cannot count it. So if you slow down a drag-based rudiment, the drag doesn't change because the drag is supposed to be a single sound, a textured sound, like this. That's a drag. Different from a flam, but in some ways similar. Drag, flam. When I teach drag-based rudiments to my pupils, I use a four-layered approach, which I'm going to show you over here. First of all, we take out all the ornamentation. So we take off the drag, and we're left with what's known as the check pattern. This is the skeleton of the rudiment, and practically every rudiment that exists can be simplified into its check pattern. I think I'll use the one with the strangest name. We'll do lesson 25. Now lesson 25 sounds like this. Right, now what we're going to do is take off the drag and we're left with, so just, 2/16 and an eighth if you like. Be able to play from both sides and also hand to hand. See how I'm paying attention to my stick heights? That's quite important. Although the check pattern is easy, it's a very important foundation, so you really want to take real care to make sure that everything is right. Spend a bit of time with that, and then we move on to the next phase, which I call flammed lesson 25s, I guess. So wherever you have a drag, whether it's in drag paradiddles or ratimacues, you just replace the drag with a flam. So this is a flammed lesson 25. And you want to even play around with some of the dynamics of it. So you want to maybe downplay the end accent and upplay the accent in the flam. Or do both. Just to experiment with the kind of dynamic expression you can use later on. Next thing you want to do is something which I call Buzzflamming. Basically what you're doing is you're pressing the grace note into the pad and getting 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 strokes before you play your principal note. So a slow motion Buzzflam might sound like this. But actually as you speed up you'll have less and less time to play lots and lots of buzzes, and at a certain speed you'll only have time to play 2 buzzes, which actually means it's a drag. So something like this. They're not exactly very neat, but they're a good starting point to get you into drags, and if you do enough of them you'll start feeling the good ones and tend to repeat those more often, and eventually you'll end up playing really neat drags. But there is a fourth sort of layer of learning which you can do, which I call metric grace notes. It's a bit of an oxymoron. And basically what you're doing there is you're taking grace notes and actually counting them. So with lesson 25, what we're going to do to play metric grace notes is we're going to make a bit of a hybrid, actually, between a single stroke 4, I guess, and a herta. So single stroke 4 would be like this. Left, right, left, right. Left, right, left, right. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a herta by doubling the first left. In other words, I'm going to diddle the first left. So that is lesson 25, slowed down if you were watching a high-speed photography view of somebody playing proper lesson 25s. As long as you remember that in actual fact you shouldn't be able to count the grace notes. So if I was honestly slowing down lesson 25, it would actually sound like this. But by cheating the system slightly, you're going to get really neat grace notes. I mean, so you may as well just practice it a little bit like this. So we go back to the Herter hybrid and we go. The same four-tiered approach can be used on all the different drag-based rudiments. Drag paradiddle number 2. So that one has, as its check pattern, it's yeah, and now we flam it. So now we buzz flam it. And then we make a metric exercise. So for this one, I'm just going to use a mixture of 8s and 16s to make it easier to count. So it would be 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and. So that's it. And you just speed that up. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and. As long as you remember that there is no such thing actually as a metric grace note. So if you were actually to slow down the drag paradiddle number 2, it should really sound like this. But there's no shame in cheating in order to get something. I hope this has been informative, and watch out for some more videos, and hello to Drumba Club. Cheers.